Max, how surprised are you that Roki Sasaki has popped up to be healthy and look this damn good after missing most of the season?
Not surprised at all. It's just one of those things where he needed to get a little confidence, and he's found a way to do that, and he looks very comfortable in the role that we put him in, and he's ready to go every time we've called on him so far.
Max, I think these guys are like itching to ask you about the wheel play from game 2. So, Kratz, I'm going to actually let you start. Why don't you start with your best wheel play question, and then Trevor, I'm sure, will have one too.
I don't even have a question. Take us through exactly like each step of it, not like from the pitching change. When was it thought of? What was your thought going into that kind of meeting of the world champions on the mound?
Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest moments I've ever been involved of in my baseball career. And not even just talking about the play. It was more about how it came together. Castellanos hits the double. Kike makes a great throw at second. We're reviewing the slide. Maybe he came off, maybe he didn't. Obviously, we're on the field. We can't tell what's going on in the replay room. And, so while they're looking at the replay, Tommy and Mookie are talking to each other. And I kind of call them over and I'm like, hey, they're going to bunt right here. We need to be ready. Let's figure out what we're going to do. And right away, Mookie was like, well, let's go wheel play. We talked about it about a month or two ago in a situation where we wanted to do it, and we didn't end up doing it. And Mookie was just like, "Hey, let's go wheel play. Let's do the wheel play." Tommy, you got to get first. I'm going to stay behind him. I'm going to go to third, and Muncy, you crash. And we start talking about it, and we call Freddie over, and we're like, "Hey, here's what we're thinking." And we start talking about, well, second base is going to be vacated. And immediately Freddie was just like, I'm charging hard. As soon as the ball gets down to third base, I'm going straight to second base. And he's like, if it comes to first, Max, you got to get to second base. And immediately we were all just talking about that. And, it's just really cool. The replay comes back. He's safe. Doc comes out, make pitching change, bring in Vest. And, we went up to Doc and we're like, hey, here's what we're thinking. And Doc immediately was like, that's a great idea. I like where you guys are at. Let's go with this, and, we just sat there and discussed it the whole time. And it was just really awesome to see like everyone come together and be like, here's what we're doing. Because it's a play that, in all honesty, we haven't practiced in probably 4 or 5 years. Whenever they got rid of the pitcher hitting, that's the last time that we had practiced a wheel play. Because nowadays, even if it's a true bunt, you don't run a wheel play. It's just make sure we get an out somewhere. And so for us to be able to discuss that in that moment, in that atmosphere, with the stakes as high as they were, the pressure where it was, like, to me, it's one of the coolest moments I've ever been involved of in my baseball career.
All right, now take us to actually the play. Because what people don't understand is you have to crash so hard to be able to get there in time to be able to stop and turn and make a perfect, 5-yard out route to Mookie Betts, who has Nick Castellanos bearing down on him.
Yeah, so for me, from my what my job was, I'm putting my heels pretty much on the baseline. I need to be able, and I'm several feet in. I need to be able to see the runner at second. I need to be able to see the pitcher all at the same time. I got to make sure that, the runner at second is not just going to take off, because I'm vacating the bag early. And also it was a little tricky because it's not a traditional wheel play. And as you guys know, a traditional wheel play, the shortstop sets everything off, right? So the shortstop holds the guy close to second base. The pitcher's staring at him. He might give a couple fake jabs to second. And as soon as the shortstop takes off, that's when the pitcher is supposed to pick up his leg and throw to home plate. That's like a traditional wheel play. For us, the pitcher had no idea we were running the wheel play. He's just focused on making his pitch. We didn't really talk to the pitcher about it because, in all honesty, we're like, hey, just, stay out of the way. Me and Freddie got this, so we didn't even talk to him about what we were doing. So he's focused on making his pitch, which means that we're not going, off the shortstop starting the play. So I have to be able to see I have to be able to see the pitcher at the same time as the second, the runner at second and the shortstop to make sure that everything's going properly. As soon as the pitcher picks up his leg, I have to sprint towards home without even knowing if he's squaring around to bunt or not. I just have to go and trust that he's going to bunt. And if he doesn't bunt, then we'll worry about that one later, And so, so for me, I wanted my heels pretty much on the baseline on the grass, because that way I know I can get around any ball that's bunt, and that makes it an easier transition for me to get my body to third base. Because otherwise, if I'm running in and I have to field it off my right side and then find a way to turn, like, that's just not going to happen. It's going to take too long. He's going to be safe. So I need to be able to get around that ball regardless of where it's bunted at. And so that's why for me, I wanted my heels on the baseline, and then it's just trust the guy's going to bunt it and crash as hard as I can.
So firstly, the fact that you guys all gathered together and like looked at each other like, are we about to do the wheel play? Is this the perfect time for the wheel play? Is awesome, because like even the teams I was on that actually kept practicing the wheel play, you do it at once in spring, and then 6 months later you hope that it didn't come up in the playoffs. So that's sick. But secondly, there's a little bit of other context that I'm interested if it was part of the conversation as well, with the fact that Harrison Bader, was probably, I don't know if you guys knew he might have been coming up next to pinch hit, and the fact that Castellanos wasn't having a pinch hitter for him, there's not a ton of speed there. So like the planets really did align like that. Did that come into the conversation as well? Like, we have Castellanos, he doesn't run really well. This might work really well in this situation.
Not necessarily. We knew they weren't going to pinch run for him because they didn't have any options at that point. We knew Bader's leg was bad. Obviously it was good enough for him to pinch hit, but we thought if they're going to do anything, they'd pinch it for one of the lefties against Vesia, and that's what they ended up doing. So the runner on second wasn't so much a part of the conversation as it was, Mook, you just have to make sure you beat him to the bag. And that's also where us knowing what we're doing, it gives Mookie the chance to get that head start. And, for the runner on second, he has to make sure he sees the ball down. The ball can't go up in the air. He's got to get that read. And, when I rewatched the overhead, Castellanos did everything right. He got a secondary. He saw the ball down. He didn't hesitate. He went immediately. It's just we ran everything to perfection. And, one of the things we were talking about was there was about 100 different ways that play could have went wrong. And realistically, only about 1 or 2 ways that it could have went right. And, the one way it went right was how it did for us. The other way is if he bunts it hard to Freddie, who's right there also. I mean, those are really the only 2 ways that it goes right. There's 100 different ways. I make a bad throw. I don't field it cleanly. If he goes to Freddie takes too long to get rid of it because he's got to turn his body. Mookie's doesn't get there in time. The throw's not just right there for him to tag. He misses the tag. There's 100 different ways that play could have went wrong, and it's kind of just a do or die situation for us. And we pulled it off.
Could you hear anything? Like, let's say Vesia, he bunts the ball to Vesia, and you never want the ball in the pitcher's hand. But I feel like Vesia is pretty athletic and absolutely skied it out of his mind when he's out there. But could you guys hear anything?
When Vest gets on that rubber, he's pretty amped up, and it's awesome to watch him do his thing. He's probably the most high energy guy we have when he gets on the rubber, and it's fun when he's out there. But yeah, in that situation, it doesn't matter who the pitcher is. You don't want him fielding the ball. You want either the first baseman or third baseman fielding the ball. And, that's a little bit of the tricky thing when the pitcher doesn't know what we're doing. And you kind of saw that Vest actually went after the bunt. If you look at the overhead film of it, he went after the bunt, didn't know I was right there. And then when he saw me, he kind of freaked out and just dropped to the ground. And then after the play, it was like jailbreak. Everyone's running towards second base, even though Freddie was there. It was like, all right, we got to make sure we got someone there. Everyone's sprinting towards second base. We had Kike in left field running towards second. Vesia was running towards second. Mookie make the tag. He's running like everyone's sprinting towards second base. Make sure we got someone there. It was kind of funny.
The question in Philly is, why is he bunting? What's the deal with that? Look at your lineup that you guys have. If you guys were in the exact same situation, who do you guys have bunting? And is there nobody that bunts in that situation?
I mean, that's the most no-brainer bunt situation I've ever seen. You have no outs, guy on second base, lefty-lefty matchup. And not just lefty matchup, you're talking about an extreme, with Vesia, an extreme fly ball strikeout pitcher. Like, the ball doesn't get hit on the ground with Vesia. That's an extreme fly ball, strikeout pitcher. Like, that's just an obvious bunt situation. And he laid down a great bunt. I just happened to be 5 feet away when he was doing it. And, if I'm not crashing when I crash, if I'm a split second late, he's safe at third. Like it was a great bunt, and that's 100% the right baseball play. There's no questioning that. If it's our lineup, I mean, I don't know. That's we have several guys that would definitely be able to get that job done. I don't know who Doc would ask to do it, but he's probably not asking any of the top 3 guys to do that. I'll say that. I don't think he's asking Shohei to lay down a bunt right there. But if you're the first baseman crashing, you're probably hoping that Shohei's bunting. You probably don't want him swinging away. But yeah, Ben, for us, he's been getting down bunts left and right. Miggy Rowe's been getting down bunts. Kike can get down a bunt with the best of them. In the playoffs, you kind of want Kike swinging away, but he could definitely get down the bunt. We have a lot of guys that would be able to get the bunt down.
Go ahead. You can ask that question. It's worth the ask, Kratz. I'll also just add. Go ahead.
Could Shohei get it down? Come on, say no, because he does everything so perfectly.
He sucked at bunting.
Well, I would assume he could, but at the same time, I don't know. I've never seen him, because he never hits BP on the field. He always does his stuff in the cage, and so I've never seen him, lay down BP. Your first round, you always lay down 2 or 3 bunts. It's just kind of, it's kind of just like tradition at that point. You just lay down a bunt before your BP round. Like even Freddie will lay down a bunt before his first BP round, and it's just. So I've never seen Show actually do it. I would assume he could. He's the best at everything, but I have no idea.
On the play in general, last thought, there are many coaches who coach youngsters out there who are like, yes, thank you. It's going to be very valuable for me for years to come when kids complain. And I'm going to be like, oh, really? Let me show you a little video. So thank you from many coaches all across the globe. We got comments about that, so I'm sure you'll get plenty too. Max, I did want to ask you about Shohei, since we actually have seen him now pitch and hit in a postseason game for the first time. Last year was his postseason introduction. How cool was it to actually witness that kind of history in, the biggest stage of our game?
It was wild. Freddie talked about this a little bit post-game the other day, but you're talking about one of the best atmospheres in all of baseball, playoff baseball in Philadelphia. That's that's tops. It's unreal there. It's extremely loud. Like you feel it. They're so into the game there. They're you can't even hear yourself think. And for that to be Shohei's first pitching experience, and for him to come out of it the way he did. I mean, he had the one bad inning, but other than that, he kind of dominated, and it was just really cool to watch him do it. He loves pitching. I tell that to media guys all the time. Like he just absolutely loves pitching. He loves talking about pitching. He loves working on it. He works way more at pitching than he does hitting, and that's just how much he loves to pitch. Like he's all about it, and he went out there and like I said, with the exception of the one inning, he really dominated, and he was so frustrated at himself for that one inning. And, he went out there and still gave us 6 innings with 9 or 10 punchies. And, that's an unbelievable postseason start. If you, for a starter in the postseason, and you've seen it so far this year when you watch the other games, for the starting pitcher to give you more than 4 innings, like I know they say a quality starts 6 innings. In the postseason, a quality starts getting 4 innings out of your starter. And so for him to give us 6 innings like that, it was just unbelievable.
Ending a sentence talking about Shohei Ohtani, an unbelievable, super surprising. So now you finally we got a righty. We got Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies. You didn't start the first 2 games with, understandably, 2 very, very tough lefties in there. So that's nothing you're not used to. You're a guy who starts most of the games. Are you a nervous energy guy? Are you pacing around? Are you doing the Robbie Grossman and just won't put your bat down? Or are you a guy who's like, you know what? When it's my spot, I'm ready to go. I've been around the block. Just let me know when I'm gonna go, and then I'll give you what you need.
Yeah, well, my first postseason in 2018, it was that's how it was. I didn't play against the lefties. We had an extreme line change in 2018. When a lefty was on the mound, between me, Belly, Jock, and I believe Grandal, we had 130 home runs sitting on the bench, something like that. it's something that I'd done before, and I remembered how I handled it back then. And you know, the end goal is to win the game. I don't care if I'm playing or not. I want to win the game. If I go the entire postseason and I don't get a single bat, but we win, that's success. I don't care. If I get 100 at bats and we win, that's success. For me, winning is all that matters. And so, when Doc comes up and he's talking to me and he's, here's what I'm thinking. Hey, I'm all on board. Whatever you need me to do. If you need me to pinch it in the second inning, the fifth inning, the ninth inning, not hit it all, you need me to start, whatever role you need me in, I'm here to help the team win. And that's where everyone's at on our team. We have an entire group of guys I don't care how you use me, when you use me, I'm going to be ready at all times from pitch one. You just, whenever you call my number, I'll be there ready to go. And, for me, that's how all of our bench guys are. After we watch the first inning, we like to get a taste for the atmosphere, see how it's going. And then from there, it's do whatever you have to do to make sure you stay loose so that when a situation comes up, you're not having to try to get loose quickly. It's just, I just need 2-3 swings. Now I'm ready to go into the game because I've been loose the entire game. I'm finding a way to stay loose. I'm moving around. I'm not just sitting on the bench. I'm constantly moving. I'm paying attention to the game. I'm watching the situation. I got my eye on the bullpen camera. Also you got to make sure you're watching all your own guys. Does something look off with somebody? Like he might need to come out of the game. You can't get ambushed. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to emphasize to guys when we get into the postseason is, things move quickly. And I have this talk with the bullpen every single year. I go around to each of the guys and I tell them, I say, hey, things move quickly. If something goes awry, don't be surprised if they call down in the first inning, the second inning. Like, don't give them any reason to have an excuse for you. Make sure you're always ready to go so that if they call down, you only need your 7 or 8 throws to make sure you're ready to go into the game. Like, it's the same thing from a position player standpoint. Don't give them any reason to have an excuse. Well, we told him to get ready and he wasn't ready, so he went out there and had a bat. Like, no, you got to make sure you're ready at all times. And, that's one of the things that we try to emphasize when we get in the postseason because it moves quickly. The starting pitcher can be just rolling through it. And then all of a sudden, and we saw this from the Phillies standpoint, the lefties were kind of rolling through the game a little bit. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, here's a base hit, here's a walk. Well, now the bullpen's going, and now that guy's in the game, and it was just a 1 batter difference. So you have to find a way to stay ready at all times.
Is that more exhausting than playing all 9? I always felt like the games where you were going to pinch hit by the 3rd inning all the way to the 9th, it just felt like afterwards you were like, whew.
If you're not exhausted after a postseason game, whether you played or not, you're not doing it right. You should be invested in the game from pitch one, ready to go. And even if you're not playing, you should be exhausted from being that invested into the game mentally. And just, the postseason games are different. I always explain to people, it's like playing 3 18-inning games in a row. Like that's what one postseason game is, just mentally. Like you're just exhausted mentally after these games. And, that's how it should be. Like you should be thinking that much. And, when you look at our roster in general, we have so much experience. You go back to the wheel play. You talk about, you have 4 guys on the infield with 10 years of service time, just immediately being like, okay, here's what we're doing. We're not freaking out about it. Hey, we're doing this. We're talking about this. It's the same thing in the outfield with those guys. Kike's leading them out there saying, hey, if we get in this situation, we got to play a little bit deeper. We got to move over here. We got to move over there. You should be just mentally exhausted, regardless of whether you're in the game or not, just playing along with it.
All right, mentally exhausted or physically raking. Your experience against Aaron Nola. Obviously, AJ Przinsky is not on here. He would say
I was half expecting him to jump into this call just to make a comment about his last talk with me before I faced Aaron Nola.
Did you see?
I know. He's probably just got saliva at his mouth, just thinking about this right now.
He definitely takes all of the credit for getting 3 hits off of a big league pitcher for you. But did you see anything different? And after that, is your feeling like, okay, that was the last time you faced Nola? Do you have a little bit higher level of confidence, or do you sit there and go, I'll wait and see until I see what we have tonight when I'm out there facing them?
No, I mean, you definitely try to you know baseball. You try to take the confidence when you can get it, whether it's real or not. You try to take the confidence, and there's a little bit of well, maybe he didn't make his pitches, maybe I just had I was feeling it that day. There's all of that, but at the same time, you try to take the confidence where you can get it, especially in this game at this time of year. That's anything you can get to give you that little extra edge. You're going to take that.